Welcome to another episode of Low Res With Jess. Joining me today. I'm sorry. How do you pronounce your last name? Tillman?
Tillman.
Tillman. Okay. See, I already messed it up. I'm like disgustingly terrible. You should be giving me a 0 for that. I need you to tell me that you're going to give me a 0.
I'm going to give you what was it? Okay, hold on. Can I remember it? Because it happened to me so vividly. Why am I blacking out? This is like, I heard it in person. Tell me, you remember it. Can you say
it's so bad.
It's so
I'm going to give you a 0, but I'm going to give.
But I can't, so I'm going to give you a 1. That's what it was. It's so bad, I'm going to give you a 1.
We need to make it into a joke at this point, you know?
I should have this memorized at this point. I hear it all the time.
She has it. She pulls it up in her book. She's like, wait, Jessica, I got it. It's so bad that I'm going to give you a 0.
You should know this on the spot.
You should. How dare you, Lenox? How dare you not know? How dare you? I'm going to
have to give you a 0 for not knowing my last name.
I'm going to give you a 0. Yes, I get the 0. You get the 0. So we cancel each other out there. Okay, let me try that again. Let me try this intro again. Okay. Welcome to another episode of Low Res with Jess. Joining me today is Lenox Tillman. She was a contestant on Cycle 21 on America's Next Top Model in 2014. She is a huge fan favorite and placed 4th in her season. Welcome, Lenox.
Thank you.
And you know, I was telling Lenox this earlier because I messed up this intro like 20 times, but I had no idea how much of a huge fan favorite you were until I was Googling information, questions to ask you.
I saw a few articles that were written about me after the show had aired and everything, and it was really weird to see articles written about me. Before, like, she can do this. One person called me like the dark horse. I was like, oh my god. Like 19-year-old me was like, wow. And then other people said I was like trash. So I guess they like ended up because the 0, you don't deserve a 0, or you deserve a 0, but I'm going to give you a 1 thing. A lot of people are like, yeah, you were really bad. Like, you deserved a 1.
To be fair,
that people have been really backing me up.
No way. Now, before then, they weren't.
No, when the show came out, they were like, oh yeah, you deserve that. You need to get a grip. This is not how the industry is. Like,
oh man, they hit you with that. This is how the industry is.
I was like, I don't think respectfully a lot of you guys are in the industry. That sounds mean, but like, sometimes I was like, listen, I don't think you're in the industry from what I'm looking at your profiles.
They just don't like, but the thing is, you are right though, because a lot of the times people will watch the show and be like, oh, models should do absolutely anything that's asked of them. And then in the real world, that's not the case. You have like contracts, you have agencies who take care of stuff for you. So it doesn't actually work like that. So you do have a point though.
Yeah, there was a lot of like, it was weird. I mean, on the show, it was very much like this unspoken thing of like, you either do it or make you look like an idiot. And I clearly learned my lesson with that one a few times, and so did everybody else. But it was just this unspoken rule. So it was a lot of stuff where you're like, I don't want to do this. Like, I did a lot of stuff I didn't want to do on the show, which sounds super bad. But I did. And after getting out and doing real modeling and stuff, it was a lot easier, and it was a lot more normal to be like, I'm not doing that. I'm not.
Good for you.
Yeah. I was like, no, I'm not taking my pants off. Like, I had a photographer be like, let's try it without your underwear. And I was like, no.
No way. Was it a test shoot?
It was in LA. It was a test shoot. But he also started off the session, the photo shoot. I showed up at his garage, and it was like him kissing somebody goodbye. And I was like, oh, is that your wife? And he's like, oh no, it's the babysitter. And I was like,
okay. Like, is this a good, should I go back? Should I come back later?
Yeah, that was a weird test shoot from start to finish. I just wanted to be done, but he was a creepy one. But I was like, no, I'm not doing that, and that was it. So you don't get
good for you.
Hero.
You don't, but you can't do that on a test shoot, especially. And like, agents will ask, like, hey, agents will want to know what your mood board is. They want to know what like the styling is going to be. Yes. And they literally tell you like, no partial nudity, no this, so they'll give you boundaries of what's okay for a test shoot. So that was not okay. Yeah, I'm glad you said something.
an outlier. That was definitely an outlier and just like typical LA stuff. Cause I mean, you know, you're a photographer, like you said, it's normally very clear from the get-go. And if I do show up on a photo to shoot and it's like, hey, are you comfortable with doing this? It's like I either say yes or no, and then that's it. There's no pushing it, or at least it shouldn't be. So yeah, but the show, it was, you didn't know what you were doing. So you didn't have a chance to consent. I mean, you could have consented, but like it was very last minute. So
To be fair, though, the Spider-Bite commercial concept was terrible. The whole setup was, and we're going to get into all of that. I just have a million questions to ask you. And first of all, thank you so much for like being able to have like this chat with me. Cause I tried to find your Instagram. I couldn't find your Instagram and people were tagging me in your TikTok. And I'm like, I found her. I found the girl from the viral TikTok. And everyone was tagging me. But you told me that like you no longer have the Instagram. Like what can you tell fans who are wondering like where you've been, like what happened with the Instagram situation?
Yeah, so I mean, I have an Instagram, but it's private. But like officially I don't. But I did have one, and I mean, it was a pretty good following, I feel like. I mean, considering I went from having like maybe 100 followers before the show and like not doing anything on Instagram, I had like, I think at the highest I had like, I want to say 240,000. So I had a pretty good following considering I wasn't really doing a ton. But I don't know, I just never really was that into modeling to begin with. I gave it a go kind of after the show and just realized like, this isn't it. I just want to go back to school. And so I started posting more just everyday stuff and started losing followers, which didn't matter. But I was like, I don't even want to post this stuff to like what felt like strangers. And that's not an insult to people following me. It's just, so I just said, you know what, screw it. And I gave up my account to a friend who would have used it better and have a private account. But I've been in school. So I went and finished college. I went and finished my undergraduate degree. I just finished my master's this December.
Yes,
I
good
know.
job.
Thank you. And then I've just been working because what I'm doing in the field, I don't want to go into specifics, but what I am doing, I have to finish supervision hours. So that's what I've been doing. I've just been really boring and working.
That doesn't sound boring at all. That doesn't sound boring. I'm super proud of you for continuing with your schooling and graduating. Good job. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Yeah, people were really disappointed when I went back to school and I was like, this isn't the reaction I was expecting. But yeah, so that's where I went. But I didn't really give anybody a heads up. So one day my Instagram was just gone.
And I was like, I was trying to find you and but I'm glad that, we connected and people were tagging me. So many people were tagging me in your TikTok talking about the viral TikTok, which again, I do want to get into that, but what I'm interested in is what made you audition for the show. Like you kind of briefly said you don't really have like a passion for but you did try out for the show though. So what kind of led to that?
My mom. And if I know she's going to watch this, like I will bet everything in my bank account right now, she's going to be watching this. I'll be hearing her backup, like thoughts on it. But she was definitely the reason why I went on the show. I didn't even know they were casting for the show. And before I even did the show, I had modeled a little bit, but I started when I was 17. And the whole reason I even got into modeling was because of my mother. She like took me to a casting. I didn't know I was going until I was in the car. And she was like, guess where we're going? We're going to a model casting event. And I was like, I have crippling anxiety. I can't even talk to people at school. So I somehow did it and I got callbacks. I'm not making any of this up. I got callbacks and then I went and did some stuff, but it was like really small stuff in Atlanta. And then like a year and a half, 2 years later, when I was like 18, my mom saw the casting for the show and she was like, we should go. But she'd always talked horribly about ANTM. Like I watched it with my sister. I watched it with my friends. Mom hated it, was like, I can't believe you'd watch this show, all this stuff, but they were casting and that changed it. And so she just called me one day and I was like, I don't want to do it. I know a lot of people should do it. And also like, I didn't want to be on reality TV. And like you said, I was like, I don't really want to do modeling. I was still kind of just doing it as a part-time thing. And she just bugged me about it enough. She was like, come on, let's just go, please, please, please. And I was like, fine, fine, whatever. Thinking I would go and that would be it. And joke's on me, because that's not what happened. But yeah, so it was my mom and I went to the casting. It was at a mall. So we went to this mall and I watched a bunch of people walk across the stage. And then I went up there and I was like, I'm Lenox and I'm 18 years old and all this stuff. And like 2 weeks later, I got a casting call, or I got a call back, I mean. And then I did that. And then I thought again, like, there's no way I'm going to make it to the next round. And then I got the call for semifinals and I was like, what?
Wait, were you kind of like going into it like, okay, I'm not going to take this 100% seriously because like I don't really.
Yeah,
I love that.
I'm not trying to sound like, oh, I didn't even try. I mean, like, honest to God, it's very flattering I got picked. Or is it? Now that I think about it, was it flattering that I got picked? But something about it, it was flattering that they thought I was worth something, because I really did not think
you are.
Thanks. But I wonder sometimes if they were like, she looks like she's easy to mess with.
Okay, I get that.
But yeah, so yeah, I did not take it seriously. And when I did the second callback, it was like a one-on-one with this guy on Skype. And you had to write like a book full of stuff about yourself. It was a lot. And I did everything, but I just didn't think I would get picked because I just wasn't like fighting for it, because they were like, what are you, like, one of the questions when we did the mall thing was like, what are you willing to do to get on this show? And I was like, eat an onion, because I don't like onions, because all the other girls were like, I'll kill somebody. And I was like, whoa.
Lenox is like, not illegal, but onions, yes. We will eat an onion.
That's how much I was like making dumb jokes like that, because I was like, I don't know. So yeah, so that's how I got on the show. It was people, I really am serious when I say, like, I did not mean to get on the show. I even tried to get off the show before I flew out for the semifinals.
Wait, what tell us about that?
I flaked. Because here's the timeline, because I was one of the last ones to get chosen. So this all happened, I felt like that, because I did the casting, the first one that my mom took me to in the mall, on like, I think it was like early to mid-December, because I remember vividly when she called me, and it was right during finals week of my first semester of freshman year of college. So I did that, and then like I said, I think it was like maybe 2 weeks later, so somewhere around late December, early January, I did the second callback, and then like maybe another week or two goes by, and they called me and they were like, you're on a semifinals. So, and then we flew out for the show on February 12th. So like somewhere in between that period, I remember I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I just don't, something's up. I just feel like, and of course now I realize maybe that was a gut feeling, but I was like, I just don't want to do it. So I called up the casting people and I said, I think I'm good. Like, you guys pick somebody else who's going to want this more. Cause I thought I was being naive. I thought they really wanted people who were on the show, who wanted to be on the show, that means. And so I'd said, I don't think I want to do it. And that's when I got a call from like the top casting producer lady, Michelle, and she was like, what's going on? Let's talk on Skype. And they sweet talked me into going. And she basically, I realized now, I think I had already been picked. I think they already had me chosen, but I didn't think that. And she was like, just come on out. If you don't get picked, it's a fun trip to LA. And I remember thinking, well, I'm not going to really try. Yeah. So I was like, I'll just go out and have a good time and nobody can say I didn't try.
That's true.
Yeah, but then I fell for it because I think I was already picked.
Lenox is like, I guess I'll do the whole show. Yeah, you were there till fourth place. You were literally there till the very end, almost. Pretty much.
That's right. And then I felt like, and then all that happened, and then all of a sudden I felt like one of those like early 2000s movies where they're like, it freezes the screen. They're like, you're wondering how I got here, because it suddenly was me in front of Tyra, and she's like, you're going on the show, and I was like, what? So yeah. It felt like it was like that. And I was like, shoot. I don't know what I'm gonna do. So
like, I guess I'm on the show now.
I guess I gotta try.
So there was an audition video that I found on YouTube where you can tell me, was this like the semifinals, or like you went in front of Tyra and then she asked you, and I literally quoted, hold on, I literally had to write down exactly what she said because I could not believe it. And she's like, so I know you went through something very sad 2 weeks ago. What happened? And then you spoke about your father passing away, and then you started crying. But it's like, I was shocked that she would ask you that during an audition for a modeling competition. Like, I felt like that it was just not a good place to ask you. Like, why would she ask you that in an audition? So first of all, I just want to say, like, I'm sorry you had to go through that, because you probably were like still going through it, and then you have Tyra asking you about that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was rough. Because I mean, here's the thing. I signed the contract. All joking aside, I signed the contract and I remember reading it said like whatever happens, we can bring it up. Whatever we find, we can bring it up. We can use it how we want. We can portray you how we want. And I understood what I signed up for, but they didn't know and I didn't know either, of course, like how would we that like that would happen literally. I mean, he passed away on February 4th. My birthday, I went to his funeral the 8th. My birthday's the 10th. I was supposed to fly out on my birthday. Yeah, and then on the 12th, I flew over the show. And I think that interview, I think was maybe the next day or second day after. So like it was immediately out. It was barely 2 weeks. So it was intense. And they didn't know that was going to happen. And I didn't either, but I knew they were going to ask me about my dad because you had to write this book of stuff about yourself. And I mentioned like my dad wasn't in my life or whatever. And I was fine talking about that. And I was going to be low key about it. I wasn't going to be emotional is what I'm saying, but that changed it. And so I told when they asked me about him in my first interview, like the little side clip stuff, they'd asked me about my dad. And I tried to keep it together and just say, oh, well, he just passed away. Cause I didn't want it to be found out because they found out a lot of dirt about people and they were bringing it up. Like they brought up another girl, I'm not going to say who, but it was a girl that was not picked, but they brought up like her abortions and she came out like sobbing. And I remember being like so freaked out. Yeah. She was like freaking out and crying. And she was like, they somehow found out about my abortions when I was younger and all this stuff. And I was like, so I didn't want it to be this big thing. But when I found out that they were doing that, I was like, I'm screwed. Like I've already mentioned this. And she caught me off guard real bad. I mean, I was trying to prepare myself, but when you have like a room full of people, you don't see behind those cameras. And they got Tyra Banks there with all these lights. It just hits you.
Absolutely. I honestly, watching that, I felt so terrible for you because again, it's something that probably you don't even probably want it mentioned or talked about. Like, why should that be mentioned for a modeling competition? I was like, it's literally an audition for the show. Like, what? But was that the semifinals or was that when you made the show?
No, that was the semifinals because I missed like the first couple of days because of snow issues. And that's why I was supposed to fly out on the 10th, but I got out on the 12th. So I was a couple of days behind. And so when I got there, I had to rush through a lot of the stuff. And then I was put right in front of them for the semifinals audition. So, but yeah, it was intense. I mean, like I said, I'm the one who ultimately brought it up. Looking back, I wonder if I could have gotten away with it and it would have been kept private if I just hadn't said anything. But I was worried because they listen to all your phone calls. They read your mail. They read everything. Like you have zero secrets. So I didn't want my family to bring it up and then somebody to tell the producers and then it'd be this big explosive, like, oh, her dad, you know what I mean? I was trying to like have it be in my control. And I was trying to be like, I can handle it. I'll just be really chill about it. And then they won't bring it up again. But then she had her timing. She had the timing down right. Because I mean, it was like they showed it. I was like, hi, I'm Lenox. And they were like, oh my gosh, you're adorable. Da, da, da. So what happened? And I was like,
And then she uses like that sweet voice. Can you tell me what happened? She usually, I caught on to, you know what I mean? She like gets into, she's like, tell me what happened. I'm like, don't, oh my God, no, what's happening?
You're like, I don't want to talk about that.
Oh man. And you were, correct me if I'm wrong, 19 years old?
Yeah, because like I said, my birthday was on the 10th. So that day, that clip, I think I was like 4 days into being 19. Like I was
so you had
barely 19.
You were a baby. You were literally a baby.
I know. Back then I didn't think of it that way, but recently, especially in like the last year, I've started to really have more empathy for myself because I was young.
You were like, literally a baby.
That was a big deal. Like for me to do that, I have to remember, like, I'm really proud of like little me because that was a big deal for me to go on that show. So
I know you posted a TikTok. I would like, by the way, I was like going through your TikToks because I need to make sure to do some research on this, but you did the cutest, I know the few TikToks. I hope you'll post more, by the way. I hope you'll post more.
I made it public when all this went viral because I woke up like, sorry to go on a tangent, but yeah, like I woke up and all of a sudden everybody was like, your sound is going viral. And I was like, what? And it was all over the place. And I was like, oh my God. So I was like, you know what? I'll post some public stuff for a little bit.
Wait, okay, so tell us, how did you find out about this viral TikTok sound? Is Tyra giving you a 0 or 1 or technically a 1?
Yeah, it's so bad I want to give you a 0. Yeah, my fiance's friend texted her and was like, hey, you should said some joke about like Lenox should do a video about the soundbite. We were like, what soundbite? And I think we must have just missed it or something, like, or it must have just taken off. Because I mean, we're on TikTok. I hadn't seen it. So I guess it had just started blowing up. And so I was like, what is he talking about? And we looked it up and it was just like every single
So what was your reaction when you saw that?
I remember thinking like, oh my God. Well, I thought it was really funny. I thought it was hilarious because when I had like a brief moment where I turned into like a little bit of a meme a few years ago, and I thought it was hilarious. And then it died off really quick. But this one, I was like, well, that's really funny. And I didn't think it would still be going on. But I thought it was really funny. I thought it was hilarious. And that's why I made the video. I was like, yeah, I don't even know if somebody will see it and recognize me because it's been like 8 years. So I didn't even know if people would recognize me, but I did it and it took off. So it was really sweet that people remember me.
So from that episode, the viral TikTok sound came from, what were people's initial reaction to the episode when it first came out back in, what is it, 2000, like when you were 19 versus now when the TikTok sound came out? Do you think people's perceptions have changed?
Yeah, a lot. Because I mean, I don't know, maybe, you always like take in the negative stuff more. So maybe it just seemed like it to me, but it felt like people were a lot more on Tyra's side, so to speak, or at least in the sense of like, because they made it really look like, specifically that scene and what led up to it, they made it seem like I was just this big old quitter. And I mean, to a degree, I can understand what they were saying about, there were some things where I wasn't quote unquote trying, but they really made it seem like I was just not following directions and stuff. And so a lot of people really started grilling me on the internet and were saying, you deserve it. You should have tried harder. Or there's so many people who want to be here and all this stuff. And so, yeah, I got a lot of flack. But now that's why I was really surprised, because when it went viral and I made that video just kind of joking, I expected to get the same reaction of people saying, well, you deserved it in the first place. But everyone's been like rally. Like I just got a message on Instagram. Somebody sent me a private message and they were like, we're trying to start a cancel Tyra hashtag. And I was like, no, listen, I'm not.
She's like, yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah. Like, that must be very overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, which part?
Like it's like a polar opposite reaction from when it first aired and like the reaction that you got versus now, when people seem to be understanding, because there was a backstory to the viral TikTok, which I had no idea. People think it's like this, okay, it's a funny sound, I guess, but when I actually watched the full episode in its entirety, I was sad for you. I'm like, I wish I could hug you right now. I'd be giving you a hug right now if I was there. For what you went through.
So nice about it, because like I said, at first people were pretty apathetic. It's been like years coming, but finally everyone's like, damn, that was kind of mean.
Everyone's like, we realized that this was messed up.
That was a little harsh.
Like it took that amount of time, but I think now people are starting to realize that there are things behind the scenes of the show. And you kind of talked about that in some of your TikToks. And you kind of brought up the spider bite commercial. Everyone was paired with someone. You were paired with Romeo, and you left a comment, by the way, that shocked me. And you said, fun fact, Romeo told me he was going to break my legs before the shoot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? Like, so not only did you have to do this totally uncomfortable, awkward spider bite commercial, and for those who maybe aren't aware, for the viral TikTok sound, where it came from was like this, they made them do, first of all, it was a commercial. This is supposed to be a modeling competition, but they got you guys doing commercials, but they made you guys go in this giant spider web, and it had to be like this sexy commercial for like a fragrance. It was like a mock fragrance. It wasn't even real. And Lenox, like everyone in the house was paired up with another model. Lenox was paired with Romeo. Mm-hmm. And I really related to what you said on the show. You said like, you said something, I'm bad at being sexy. And I was like, damn, that would literally be me. I'd be uncomfortable. So how was it? Like, talk to us about the spider bite commercial.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I made a joke, and I think that's when it started, the whole like I can't be sexy thing, if I remember. I'm pretty sure, because I feel like it started when I did that whole like training thing before the spider bite shoot. I don't know if you saw that part, but she made us do like this thing in front of it. she made you like all in front of your friends, because our cast members were our friends. We had to do this thing that I think it was the day before we did the spider bite, and it was in preparation. And we had to do this thing in front of like a fan and a mirror in front of everybody. And we were like sticking our butt out, and, like being sexy, and it just made me nervous and uncomfortable. It was like, I don't know, it just was weird to have an audience watching you do that. And I knew my grandmother was gonna be, I don't know, it just made me feel weird. And so I knew I could be sexual for photo shoots, but it's just different when it's like that. And so, yeah, that kind of started it. And then I think I did like a soundbite where I had said that, and then it just kept getting beat over my head. But yeah, that shoot is when it started. And the shoot, I was just uncomfortable with Romeo. I wasn't out yet. Like I wasn't comfortable telling them, because I just didn't want it to be a thing. And I didn't have people, like I didn't have certain people in my life at home who knew yet that I felt like needed a sit down conversation first. So there was that. I was just uncomfortable with that. But also I just didn't like Romeo. He told me he's going to break my legs. A lot of people thought I misunderstood him, and that he said, go break a leg. And I was like, no, trust me. He said he was going to, quote, break my legs if I don't deliver for our team. And he was already just kind of a nightmare. And I just was uncomfortable with the idea of it, having this audience, and like Yutsai just screams at you the whole time, and you're like biting a guy's lip, and it's just weird and uncomfortable. And it was just, yeah, it was exhausting. And you feel like you're being put on a set where you don't know what the lines are. Because when you go on, you can feel that there's obviously an idea that they have of how you're going to do. So you'll go up and you're killing it, and they'll be like, you're so bad at this. And you're like, what is, so you're just confused. You never know where you're being put, if that makes sense. So that day I remember I was like, it's clear that I'm being set up. And I'm not trying to say like, I mean, I'm perfect and I wasn't doing it wrong. It just, I could tell, because Yutsai was giving me a really hard time.
No, and you know what other models from the show have said to me, at least, and I'm not saying this is a fact, but they've told me that they would do a photo shoot and they know they got a good shot, and then what would show on panel was like a terrible photo, like a test shot. So I understand exactly what you're saying. I don't think that you're like being unreasonable by saying, hey, I think I might have gotten set up. Like, I feel like that's very reasonable to say.
Yeah. And I think the night before, when I did the like quote, the training thing, and they made it look like I ran off mid training session. I actually didn't. She was like, okay, you're good. Like I did it. I actually did do it. Like I did everything she said. I was making jokes throughout it because I was uncomfortable and I was just trying to laugh it off. I thought I was being a good sport and just like laughing about it. But I did everything she told me to do. And then she's like, okay, you're done or whatever. But they show it in the show that I ran off, and Tyra was like, oh my God, that's not what
I was like, I can't believe this.
Yeah. And I was like, that's not what. So I think after that, and when I made like, oh, I can't be sexy, just being an uncomfortable 19-year-old and saying that, I think they were like, got it. So when I went on set, it was just being set up, and I was feeding it into them, because I like I said, I was uncomfortable. So I was kind of letting it happen too, of just being like, I don't want to do this, and I was just giving them more ammo. So
can I just say that what you were feeling was 100% valid. I don't think any person would be comfortable with, like, especially at 19 years old, but regardless of the age, I wouldn't be comfortable with any strange man that I don't even know, that I'm even a contestant. Even if I'm friends with him, you think I want to make out with him or like bite his lip? Like, no. And then you have the creative director screaming at you. That's a lot of pressure. You get nervous. So don't think for a moment that what you were feeling was like you were being unreasonable or you were being difficult. I never saw you be difficult. You actually completed the commercial. You completed it. You did it even though you weren't comfortable. That to me says how professional you were and that you put your 100% effort into it.
That one I definitely held back. But like I said, I mean, I appreciate that. And it's been sweet having people say, I've seen a lot of comments where people are like, she was a baby, like you were 19. And I think it's helped me kind of realize, okay, yeah, I need to chill out. Because I think for a really long time after the show, I got a lot of flack for it. And I really had to look back and be like, the fact that I even, like you said, the fact that I even went and did it, that was pretty great, because I didn't want to do it. And it is icky that I think the show has turned into a lot more, it's almost kind of like what's that show? Like the Dare show where you dare, like they're just trying to get you to do it until you quit or until you crack. You know what I mean? So you just kept sticking it out and doing these things that you didn't like to do. And it wasn't really about the modeling. It was like how much public humiliation, how much degrading, how much berating, how much talking about you kind of stuff will you put up with. You know what I mean? And so I hate that. But at the same, again, but coming back to it, I don't want to seem like I'm saying, oh, woe is me. I could have quit at any point, but doing that photo shoot, like that was a big deal for me. So I have to remember that. So
yeah, listen, I'm telling you, there's like, even not even just because this is a video, but I'm telling you, like, don't listen to those people who give you a hard time about it, because you just it was wrong for you to be put in that position in the first place. How about that? You shouldn't have not been placed in that position. I think you did the best job that you could. I think the spider web commercial was just, everything was just terrible about it. You were stuck in a bad situation, girl. What kind of spider web was that?
It was rough. And they were like making me climb it in like a ball gown. I was like, what is happening? Because that was another thing, is like, you can't see it as well, but we're in ball gowns and they're like, you're supposed to hold your whole body up and you're supposed to hold up the guy and then you're supposed to look sexy. I'm like, this is too much. So yeah.
On top of all that, you have Yusai. And I want to talk about Yusai for because I have a few questions about him too, because okay, we all know that there's editing involved in America's Next Top Model. You were actually there. So how do you feel like Yusai was as a creative director?
I feel like when he wasn't, I feel like they all had characters. And when he wasn't playing his character, he was really cool. He was very sweet. And there were times where he would kind of, I think, take a breather and be a little more like an actual creative director or photographer. And so when that happened, he was really cool. He was like, he would have me experiment and stuff, because sometimes they won't show it on the show, but there were times where they would just be like, let's just for fun, let's just do some stuff. And he was really cool. But yeah, he would flip a switch, just like most of them. He would flip a switch. So when it was that person, that character, it was awful. He was awful. It was rough.
Yeah, that honestly, I think you used the right word there, character, because I know he had a moment with you during the hair flip, another commercial. I don't even know why they're making you do all these commercials, but he had like a very human moment with you. And I was like, that's really, wait, but actually, let's talk about that, because some people were commenting saying that they prompted you about your father again, or they asked you a personal question.
That whole episode, that's the one that I remember I've been sitting on it for years, because again, like I didn't get again, maybe people watching this from like, everyone likes you. I only saw a lot of criticism when all that stuff came out. People were pretty much like, yeah, you need to get a grip, all this stuff. But for years I've sat on it, and because that was an awful day. Like that was probably, I've had to go to a lot of therapy for that day, and just that whole experience with like my dad's stuff. But that day especially was really bad, because like I said, I slipped up and told them about the show, trying to be cool and calm about it and trying to get them to let it go, and that way it wouldn't be a thing. But I didn't tell any cast members. They didn't know. After that audition I did where I cried, I went and cleaned up, didn't tell a soul. No one knew about it. Didn't tell anybody in the house. But that day, it's already stressed. I'd already been like slammed in front of a room of people, and I knew it was going to be on national TV by Tyra about like, you know, I want to give you a 0, but I'm going to give you a 1. And so I already felt like humiliated. And then I was already stressed and I already had 5 frames, and it was just like this huge buildup. Everything was about like if I was going to do well. And they made it look like on the show, I burst into tears in the middle of the shoot about that. Like I was anxious about the shoot. And that's not at all what happened. And I haven't told I've told friends and family, but haven't really talked about it publicly until this TikTok stuff happened. But yeah, Yutsai, I don't know if Yutsai was set up as much as I was. He seemed like maybe he was also set up and just told to ask. I don't know. But yeah, I was about to go on. I was standing there, I was getting touch-ups for makeup. I was gonna do my 5 frames, and Yutsai came up to me to talk to me, and we were going to talk to our families later. And he had asked, who are you going to be calling? And I said, my mom. And he's like, well, what about your dad? And it just was one of those where I was already stressed and anxious, and you have like 10 cameras on you at all times. And I was like, because I knew behind the scenes people knew. And so, I thought he knew. And I remember being like, and I was like, he passed away, you know, and I'm like trying to hold tears back. And I had like one go down my face, and he was like, you need to be vulnerable and all this stuff. And I was like, I just want to get my shoot done. And they made me do like 2 or 3 of my shots with like tears rolling down. There's a lot of shots in the film where they make it look like I'm crying in like the middle of my shoot, but they brought it up. And then when I was like, can I clean up? They were like, let's do a few with, you need to learn to be vulnerable. And it was humiliating. It was humiliating. I didn't like it. I felt very uncomfortable. It was honestly worse than the spider bite shoot. Like I felt very honestly violated, because I remember thinking like, this isn't something I want to be vulnerable about with this photo shoot. And so I did the 2 or 3 shots with tears rolling down my face, and they cleaned it up, and I did my last 2 shots and I was fine. And then I went and did my exit interview, and they asked me again about my dad, and I just couldn't hold it back. I just couldn't hold it back. And I burst into tears. And then I walked off set behind like this big, I don't even know what it was, but it was some kind of backdrop thing. And I went behind there and cried hysterically while a cameraman filmed it right in front of me in total silence. And then that's when Utah came over, but they made it look completely different than what it was.
That's, I thought that you were feeling the pressure. Like in my reaction video to it, I was like, oh, she must be feeling the pressure. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for it. I had no idea.
No one does. And like, it looks real. Like that's the thing. And I remember I was so sick to my stomach all the way up until the show airing, because I was like, God, I don't want people to, and to this, it wasn't until it got aired. Actually, no, it wasn't even until it got aired, because they didn't portray it correctly. But most cast members, except for the people who came over and checked on me that day, Kari, Shai, and Ben. And I finally said to him, like, please don't tell people, but like, my dad died. It's just been hard. They brought it up. And they were really sweet about it. But no one else, as far as I know, knows that I was crying about that day. No one else. Like, I didn't talk to people about it, and they don't know, and it wasn't aired correctly. So I was so sick to my stomach when it was going to be aired, because I remember thinking like, I just don't want this to be a sob story. It was a really private thing. And then to see it be turned into like this kind of trivial type, like not trivial, I mean, it's pressure, and obviously if somebody were to cry because they were nervous, that's totally fine. But I guess, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't crying about a photo shoot. I was crying about somebody who died.
They twisted what was the actual, like what made you emotional, which was something very important, and they made it into something like the pressure of the photo shoot which is completely different.
Right. It just wasn't, I don't know. And I remember thinking, well, I guess because at first I was like, I just don't want it to air. But then when I saw how they portrayed it, I was like, I would have rather it just been the truth. Because at least then people would have understood. Because a lot of people, were like, she needs to get a grip. This is a photo shoot, and this is how the real industry is, and da 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 da. I was like, y'all have zero clue what happened that day. Like, no idea. So, and they brought it up too when I got eliminated. I teared up a little bit when she eliminated me, because I was just so psychologically exhausted, like mentally exhausted. But walking off and doing my exit interview, they brought it up again, and the woman, because the people interviewing you, they'll do.
What did they bring up again?
My dad.
What
and
why?
They're like these little like fake crocodile tears. The lady was like, do you think your dad's looking down on you right now? And I was like, and I just started sobbing, and I remember I was like, I want to do this. I think they kept that part in, and I went off, and this poor sweet woman who was like a translator, because we were in Korea at that point, was standing there waiting on me. And I just went over like later, so I was like, it was just so, I was like, stop bringing it up. Like, it was bad. I can laugh about it now, but like watching it and knowing how much was being manipulated, and also like having the stuff about my dad being broadcasted while everyone who knows me is watching it, it was very violating. It is very violating.
Like, you didn't choose to share that publicly. It shouldn't have been made public. It's a modeling competition. There's no reason why you should be asked these types of questions. Like, did they think it was an appropriate time to bring it up right before you got your commercial taken? Like, they started filming like that. That's when they thought it was a good time. They're like, let me ask her real quick about a very personal, sensitive subject, like right before. And action. How's your family and action? Like, that's not, Come on, it's ridiculous.
It was rough. And like I said, I wonder sometimes, I don't want to slam you when it comes to bringing it up because I don't know. He told me, it was a way longer conversation than what they showed. Cause I was visibly upset, and ironically enough, whether people believe me or not, I was the one who didn't cry on set, or I was the one who didn't cry on the show. Everybody else joked about it. They're like, everybody else has crying fits, but I never cried because they either didn't see it or, I guess it was just really, they didn't see it. But when that all happened, I think everybody was like, oh, what's going on? And so when Yusei came over and talked to me, he was like, I didn't know. I'm really like, I didn't know. I promise you I didn't know. And he seemed to be pretty genuine. Maybe he's a good liar, but like, I think he was serious. So I don't know if it was a genuine accident or if they set him up. But yeah, it was intense. But he is definitely to blame for making me do like 2 or 3 shots with tears rolling down my face. And that was not fun. So.
Yeah, that whole commercial. But he did seem genuine though. When I was watching it back, I was like, it doesn't, like, he must be a really great actor if he's just doing all that. And it was nice to see that side of him. I wish he would have just kept that instead of this other character. We'll say it's a character because I personally don't know. You were there, but to me, it did seem like a character, very like obnoxious, very out there, and he didn't need to really be screaming. I actually enjoyed when he was giving you, like, he was really cheering you on. I was like, this is amazing to watch. Yeah, and you did so good, Lenox. You killed it. You had 5. Other people had 30. You had 5.
I got lucky. Yeah, I
no, you didn't. Lucky. That was all you. That was not luck, sis.
I was trying to get that shot. I was like, can y'all just leave me alone? I just want to.
Onyx is like, are we done? She's like flipping her. She's like, is this over?
Take the shot.
First of all, where are they using this commercial? Spider Bite? I've never seen it anywhere.
The worst part about the Spider Bite one too was like, it is humbling when you have to be in a sound room with one other person and you have a mic and you're like, Spider Bite.
Wait, that was you guys?
Yeah. It was bad. It was bad.
Can we do it right now? Can I do it?
Yeah, go for it.
Let's do it. Okay, you have to direct me. You got and you serious. Have to. Okay, and then you have to be like, you have to give me a score after.
Okay, all right, because they were mean. They were rough. I did it like 20 times. Okay. Let's hear it.
What is the dialogue? Just Spider Bite?
Just literally, just like she said, sexy. Say sexy. Spider Bite. What's it?
Spider Bite.
That's not, you did that too hard. They'd be like, no, that's too loud. Do it again.
You need to say that I did disgusting and you need to eliminate me right now. Just do it. Do it right. Go ahead. Give me a 0, Lenox.
I would.
Give me the 0.
Give you a 1. You did not try. You didn't try.
And then you have to ask me, is everything okay?
Are you okay? Did anybody die recently?
I'll let you know about that. I'll let you know.
Hindsight's 2020 though. Like I said, for real, it was shady, and it was one of those things where like I think it's a good learning lesson, and I really like to use it as a chance to tell people like, you have 0 idea what's going on with reality TV. No idea. Like, you have no idea what's going on with these people. But like I said, there's been people who are saying we're victims. I respectively don't feel like that. I feel like I signed the contract. I showed up. I could have quit at any point. There's something to be said about that. I wish I had quit. I wish I had never gone on.
You literally made it all the way till the end.
I mean, and I say I wish I hadn't gone on. The truth is like, there's really cool parts about it.
But you did do a great, listen, let's not play down like the amazing job you did, all your great pictures. You were a great model.
I feel like they had to do like the underdog story. So like, I'm very flattered, but sometimes there were definitely, because the thing is Yusei would pose us and set us up, and then he'd scream at you for the poses being bad. And you're like, you did it. Did you ever see that one? And they made me like tickle my armpit. That's literally my best photo they gave me. And I was like, I didn't pick this. And they like grilled me.
Yusei. So this is all Yusei, basically.
Yeah, literally, it was this shoot, and he was like, "Put your arm up like this and like do this." And I remember being like, "This is stupid. Like, what is this?" And
The
then
armpit stuff. I gotta watch that one. Which one is it?
it's bad. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on.
You guys,
'Cause I want
Lennox
you
needs to react to some of the actually, but the thing is, I don't know. Some models from the show don't want to watch the episodes back, which I completely understand. Like,
Yeah.
but it would be fun to do, like to get reactions from the models.
Yeah, I mean, my friends always joke about, we should watch it together. And I mean, I've watched some with like,
I wouldn't want to watch it if I were you. I mean, like maybe you don't even want to revisit it. Like that's what I'm saying, you know?
all these years later, like now it's funny. So like I think now it's like
We just gotta make it into a joke.
it's healed. Yeah. And also it's funny with like things like TikTok and stuff like that do make it fun. I'm trying to see if I can find that photo because it was bad. It was like laughable bad, but I can't find it.
Okay, I'll look it up. We'll look it up after this.
But yeah, so I would be down to watch it again. I think it'd be fun. And people are asking for me to do like a react.
Wait, Lennox, you cut out. We lost you. We lost Lennox. So I don't even know where we left off, but you know what I didn't ask you about though? Me either. I think the both of us were just like it disconnected. We disconnected and we gave up. We're like, whatever, I guess. Okay. So I think where we left off before we got disconnected, actually I'm just gonna come up with a new question here because what I want to know is what was your reaction like when Tyra gave you the zero speech? What was going through your head?
Actually, I think that's exactly what we were talking about. Teddy, do not jump up here. There's a very expensive laptop. Yeah, I was gonna do a TikTok because people kept asking. They were like, you should do a reaction and like talk it out or like do a story time or whatever they call it. And I was like, there's not really a story time for that because like you saw it, like the whole thing. But I mean, the only thing I could really add was just kind of my thought process of it. And I remember I was having like an out of body experience. I did not expect that experience. I expected to get grilled because I knew from being on the shoot and everything, they were kind of setting me up to have like a bad week or something. And I thought like, maybe I'll go home, but no one had as bad of a elimination or like speech or whatever you want to call it as I had. So I didn't expect it to be that bad. Yeah, so when she was giving me a hard time, I remember being like, oh, this is about to get like, this is rough. Like she's about to really let me have it. And so the whole time I was just like trying not to cry and I was trying to keep calm and she was just getting closer, it felt like, and trying to be like, you let me down and all this stuff. And they cut out stuff. I mean, it was a roast session for a hot minute.
Wait, did you respond? Like you said, did they cut anything out? Like, did you respond to her at any point?
Oh, absolutely not. I was terrified. Like I was already petrified. And then on top of that, I'm getting yelled at and I wasn't expecting it to be that bad. And she was like clearly upset. And so I was just mortified. Like I was really embarrassed and I felt really bad because like, of course I didn't mean to make anybody mad. I was just insecure and I didn't think it came off like disrespectful. And I grew up in the South. So being disrespectful is like the ultimate sin. And so I was mortified and I didn't say anything back. All you really saw was me just being like, yes, ma'am, I know, I'm sorry. And like all that stuff. But it was just a longer sequence of just her, like really, to me, it felt like she was just trying to get me to cry a little bit. And I just wasn't saying much because I was just trying not to cry.
What is with that making you cry? What is with that? I think that's very excessive. It's very like if you don't, it wasn't that serious to the point where she had to be that upset about it. That's what I'm saying. Like, wasn't that serious to me?
Yeah, it was a lot. I didn't expect it to make her that mad. And again, like you always feel like the whole time you're on the show, like you just feel like you're constantly walking onto a movie set and like and it's like and action and you're like, I don't know what my lines are, I don't know the context, I don't know you know what I mean? So like you're just going in blind. So like, and you just feel like you're in the Twilight Zone because it'll be like you think you're killing it, like I said, or like you go into the shoot and you're like, the elimination stuff, the judging panel, and you'll think like, I did a good job. Like there's definitely a good shot in there. And then you go up there and then you just get lit up and you have no idea it's coming until it's already actively happening. And so you're just kind of frozen because it's like, what do you do?
So did you have that moment where you had the photo shoot and then they put up a picture and you did better than that picture?
Oh yeah. Yeah. There was that, like I said, the one, I think we were talking about that right before we lost
Yeah,
connection.
the armpit
Armpit one.
picture.
That one for sure. I was like, I didn't pick that pose, first of all. Second of all, that was not my best shot. And if it was, it's not my fault. I didn't pick the pose. We didn't pick our poses. It wasn't like photo shoots where you actually do it on your own. Like they picked every single pose. Um, and then I'm trying to think of the other. There was one that was a Marilyn Monroe shoot. Bad. It was bad. And then my guest shoot, but that was also because they gave us a really bad wig. So I don't know if it would have ever gotten better.
Those wigs, the hair flip ones
Did
too.
you see that one? Did
Oh
you see
man,
the Marilyn Monroe one? Because they put
no,
the
I
blonde
didn't.
on. It's bad. It was ugly. It was really bad. And then there was my guest shoot, the one that I got eliminated on, and we had 2 photos. One of them I did like. I thought it was pretty personally, but the other one, I was like, that's a bad photo. Like it doesn't look good.
It comes up on the panel and you're like, why did you choose this?
It's like pretty humbling when you're like sitting there, you're like, let's see what happens. And then this photo comes up and you're like, that is hideous. Like that's bad. Like,
But then couldn't you say it's like to me as the photographer, I would say the photographer didn't do a good job.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, I mean, it's definitely not realistic. And I get why, like I get it. It's a reality TV show, but like it's definitely not. And people think it's how modeling really is, and it's not. Like, it's not at all. And like it's not the model's fault completely. It's usually like everybody kind of screwed up. The lighting's bad, the outfit's bad, the makeup's bad, the pose is bad. Like
it's like it's like this entire team of people. You're talking producers, creative director, photographer, lighting people, styling, makeup, but then they want to blame the model. You have someone there directing you. And like there was a photo shoot in Korea that you guys did for the shoes. So I saw a lot of like Tyra direction and you side direction. Would I be correct in saying that they did direct a lot for that one?
Oh yeah. Every single shoot. I mean, but yeah, the ones with Tyra too. Every single pose, everything was set up for you. Everything was prepared. Like you didn't have any, I don't know, at least the shoots I've always been on when I was off the show, like you're posing and doing stuff and you're getting directions here and there, but like usually you're doing your own stuff. But yeah, no, Tyra and Yutai were completely in control. They would come up and like move you like a mannequin and you were not supposed to move.
See,
and then
but what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is like they're so involved and then they come up with these pictures and don't like the pictures or say you guys did a bad job, but they were like directly involved in helping you get that picture. Does that make sense?
Hard. There was a lot of times where, and they of course they never showed these things, but there were a lot of times where we would just start first, like a lot of the cast members, we would just have a fit. I remember one time, I don't think Ray Leo will be upset if I say this, but Ray Leo one time in particular, I remember she just had a fit. She was like, I'm tired, stressed out. I think she'd had a rough week. Like they were putting her through the ringer that week. And I was like, girl, it's a game. Like, this is a game, because we all knew it was just one of those silent rules. Like you just couldn't call it out and be like, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. And it was, when Tyra was the one on set, and you would, I mean, it felt like a big prank show sometimes, because you'd be on set and they'd be like, you did amazing. That was awesome. Tyra would be like, you did great. Loved it. And then you'd get up on that stage and you were like, here we go. And they'd be like, you're a piece of shit.
You did terrible.
And then I got a 1. So, I mean, that one, I actually, it's funny because I don't remember getting yelled at too bad on the spider bite one. Like I didn't get great reviews, but it wasn't, I don't know. I feel like they made it look like he was just like, this is so bad and this is so horrible. But honestly, it was pretty neutral. Like I think we were towards the end, and so we were kind of getting rushed. And so I didn't think it was as bad as it was going to be to them.
As it was portrayed.
Yeah.
But also it's crazy that you're telling me like, oh, I didn't think I got yelled at that bad. I'm like, why were you even being yelled at in the first place? Do you see how just crazy that sounds to me?
And he'd be like hitting his head. There's like,
I saw that. What the wait. So like when the cameras were off, did he go from like, and then he's like, hey, how's it going? How are you?
Tyra did too. People always, the first thing they ask is they're like, how was Tyra? And I always tell them, I really haven't, I know it's funny. Like I really don't have anything bad to say. And I know that's crazy, but like off set, I had zero problems with her. She was very helpful and sweet. And I don't know, I guess I'm just a big fan of businesswomen because she was on it. She was always on time. She would ask if we needed waters and would make sure we'd sit down because judging panels took hours and you'd be standing still. So they'd have us, yeah, it would take a long time.
Why did it take so long?
Because there's just so much that's being cut out and there's a lot of prep. So we would have to come in and they'd have us like, and when they do that whole scene where it first shows up and they like bring the lights up and you're all standing there, we have to do a whole thing where they have to figure out exactly how they want you sitting or standing, like where you want to standing, and then they mark it. And then it's like all this stuff that comes into it. And then halfway through, and then they just let you have it during judging panel. Like you don't see it. There was one, I cannot for the life of me remember what judging panel it was. It may have been the one during all that spider bite stuff, for all I know. I can't remember. I really can't. But there was one and they never showed it. Tyra had me go run around and she told me, if you really want this that bad, you need to get out of your shell more. And the way you can show me that is you scream in every single person's face on this stage. So I had to get in Mr. J's face, Miss J's face, and Tyra's face, Kelly's face, all my cast members' faces, and scream in their face, throw a fit. She made me like stomp around, do all this stuff. Like they make you do ridiculous stuff. So it takes forever. And then halfway through, you have to like switch out the film. So they would have you sit. But anyways, Tyra, I thought she was nice. I didn't have an issue with her. But when the cameras were on, like she was ruthless. She was rough. She's intense.
At any point, did you feel like, okay, this is too much? I mean, obviously when they would ask you the personal questions, but like when you're telling me right now, like how Tyra wanted you to like go screaming in everyone's face, like, did you just think like, okay, I need to prove it to her? Or were you like, why do I need to do this? Why am I doing this?
It's funny you say that because I like, you know, from the jump, I really wish I would have been a little more secure and I would have set my boundaries and listened to myself a little better. Cause like I said, I tried to quit the show and I wish I had, there's a lot of stuff I got out of the show. And of course, like the silver lining, and all seriousness, I'm very grateful for the experience, but I wish I had listened to my intuition and said, I just don't want to do this. Like, this is just not for me. It's not my personality type. And throughout the whole show, that spider bite shoot, the shoot after it where I had the 5 frames and everything happened there, and then all these other things like the screaming in their face stuff, all that, there was a lot of times where I wish you just get into a bubble. Like, I mean, it is like very much a bubble. They cut you off from society, and so you forget, as silly as it sounds, you forget you can just walk away. And I wish I would have just said, I can't do this. This is just not for me. Because there was a lot of moments where I think it was too much. I'm proud of myself that I stuck through it. So I'm not saying I regret it, but like, I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, there was a lot of moments, all the ones that you just meant, or the one you mentioned and all the other ones I just mentioned, where I wish like on the shoot when I cried for the 5 frames, there was even a scene and I think I was like, I can't do this. I wish I would have just been like, I want to go home. I'm tired. I want to go home. It's been a rough time. Thank you for the experience, you know, but you feel like you're letting all these people down. So
if I can come to your defense here for a moment, I mean, I think it's something that's bigger than what you're describing. You're essentially have like the pressure of going up against literally a show like America's Next Top Model. You're talking about Tyra saying like, oh, I don't want to be here. It's an incredible amount of pressure. It's probably so nerve-wracking. And you're 19 years old. I don't want you to ever blame yourself or feel like, oh, I should have like been able to just say I want to leave. I don't think in that moment it would have been that easy for you to have done that, like mentally, emotionally, like you said, they cut you off from your family. Well, they do let you guys have the phone calls and everything, but it is like you're isolated. Yeah, you're isolated. So like, don't blame yourself, because I'm sure a lot of people can relate to being in a situation that you say, I want to leave, but like, maybe I'll stick it out, but I don't know how to exactly get out. It was much bigger than yourself. So like, don't ever feel bad or anything. I think you did the best that you could in that situation. And I think it was a very intense situation. Like, from what I'm rewatching on the show, I mean, the stuff you guys had to go through was really intense. Okay. And I like give you guys props for that. You guys stuck it out. You were yelled at for literally no reason. You guys had to go along with these like narratives about yourselves. So I like praise you for being able, you're very, very, very strong at 19 years old. No, I couldn't do it.
It was, yeah, I appreciate it. It's been really sweet. All this TikTok stuff's been really nice because everyone's been really kind about it. And I did not expect that. I have a thick skin, so like it's fine. I love poking fun at myself. I think it's hilarious, but like it's been really sweet. A lot of people are like fighting for me and stuff. And I appreciate it, 'cause that makes
What's the
me
most
feel
common question or statement that you've been getting from people
good.
now that they've been watching the show?
The question I always get the most is like, how's Tyra? That's always the one I get, is the Tyra thing. And then the phrase that I respectfully cannot stand, but people, when I had my public Instagram account, I was like, if y'all don't stop saying, was anytime I posted when I was still modeling, I'd post photos and they'd be like sexual or what, they'd be like, see, you can be sexy. And I was like, I never thought.
It's a difference.
The show beat that. Like it wasn't as, I mean, I know I said it obviously, but they clipped it a lot, made it seem like I just kept, and I was like,
they replay the same clip.
Yeah.
You're having breakfast and then they play the clip.
I can't be sexy. I was like, I
can't be sexy.
It was weird because like you'd watch the show and there'd be scenes and it would have you commenting on things and I wasn't there.
It's like from the beginning of the show, like you're taking like a lunch break. You're like, oh, I like cats. And then they clip it in like 3 episodes later. You're like, that doesn't really, but that's not it.
There was a couple times where like one time they made me comment on Denzel. Like he was obviously going to go home. Like they were setting him up. And so I don't know, because I'll tell you in a minute, but like, and I'm sure you've heard this from others, but like they had used a clip from some other point where I had something like, he's not doing well, like he's not doing good or something like that. And I was like, I didn't even see him shoot. Like I wasn't there for it. I have no idea how he did. But yeah, they would clip stuff because the way they would do it is, first of all, they would always have you wear the same shirt, same clothes, same, or like hair for the sound. Yeah. So like, and if you listen to, you got to go listen to it one day. And if you listen to the little sound bites, it's like, it'll be like, Romeo is stupid. And you can tell it's, but what they would do is every time you go in and you would do these things like every 2 or 3 days, and they would ask you questions, but they would always have this certain part where they would be like, okay, we're going to go through names. And I want you to give me an adjective for the person, like describe them in 1 or 2 words. So they'd be like, Romeo is, and you'd be like, Romeo is annoying and psychotic. And then all this stuff, but then they would clip it.
They're like, thanks for helping us make a sentence. Thank you. They just
like, gotcha.
You're reading like an ebook at this point. They like make they like clip together things you've said.
Yeah. And there was like another time it made me, I don't remember saying this. Maybe I was wrong, but I don't remember saying it. But I think I said something about like Adam's really dumb or something. And I was like, I don't think I said that. Or if I did, it wasn't like a slam, because he and I got along when we were on the show. So I was like, I don't think I would have said that. So yeah. They got you. They would get you good.
When you told me that they have you wear the same clothes, that in itself, I mean, the things that they could do with those clips to make it seem like it was during this photo shoot or during this argument or whatever it may be. Like that is a lot of power that they would have over any type of narrative they wanted to bring up.
Yeah. And then they would have it like, there were so many clips where I was like, that's the exact same clip. So I remember so many times I'd be like, if she don't stop talking about blah, 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 blah. And it would be like the same clip and they would just
reuse the same one.
Like I only said it once. Like,
the editor's like, I'm too lazy to like butcher this. So let's just use the same clip from episode 2. Yeah, bring that in. Bring it. Hey, boys, get it together. Clip it together, boys.
And they'd be like, you're getting annoying. Stop saying that. I'm like, I'm annoyed by it. Like, I didn't mean for it to be.
Lennox is like, I wasn't even there.
There was.
You were like eliminated. You weren't even at the shoot. And then they have a clip of you.
And then people would be like, who do you think you are talking about? So that's why I was like, one of the biggest learning lessons that I always tell people when they ask me about the shows, I'm like, you have zero idea. Because people get so, and listen, I get it. I get into like the parasocial relationships. Totally get it. But there have been so many, to this day, I get messages randomly on like my private Instagram and people send me stuff and be like, you're the worst person ever. I hope your life sucks. And you couldn't even finish like all these hateful things. I'm like, I don't know you. Like, I don't know you. And it's shocking to me to see how people get so sucked into it and they forget you don't know and you weren't there. So they'll like think they know what happened and they just don't. Like, I mean, people forget like they were 45-minute clips without the commercials. And we would do the 45-minute episodes would be like usually about 3 or 4 days worth of stuff. There's a lot that gets left out. So
I agree with that, because people truly don't see what happens. Like they can condense only the highlighted parts or whatever they want you to see, but you don't truly know what happens behind the scenes. You can't, like, they can edit you or any other model to look any certain way.
Yeah. And they made it really clear I mean, that's another thing is I respectfully disagree sometimes with some of the other people I've seen from the show who've like spoken out about stuff. And I'm not slamming people for talking about stuff. I'm speaking about my own personal experiences and saying like, yeah, that was pretty rough. You know what I mean? But I do think there's something to be said. Like they made it really clear in that contract, and I'll give them that. Like they made it super clear, like we can do whatever we want with this stuff. And they could do whatever they wanted. And it's just part of the risk of like, and it really makes you realize how human you are, but also how easy it is to warp stuff. When I was so careful, and I still am human and made mistakes, but also didn't even make mistakes that they made look like mistakes, or like comments that I didn't really, you know what I mean? So it just really makes you appreciate giving somebody that kind of a power over your own identity, and also the lasting effects of it. Because I mean, it's 8 years. And I still have people who message me and forget that it's been 8 years, and, you know, send me these messages and I'm like, good Lord.
Like they're just upset. Like it just premiered. It's like been so many, like almost 10 years and they're still
upset. I'm like, dude,
that's crazy. That is crazy.
So
the emotional toll that would take on someone to get this. I mean, how do you deal with that? Because like you said, it's been 8 years, and just like many contestants on the show, you probably have people who are watching it for the first time even, and they'll want to reach out and they want to kind of state their opinion on it. But for you, I mean, you've moved on from that. So how do you kind of deal with that?
I recently have really been trying to, I mean, it's been years that I've been, I guess, kind of moving away from it. Cause after the show, I like tried to model for a little bit, but I just was half-assing it. I just wasn't into it. So when I went back to school is when I really started to kind of peel away from it. I gave it up my public accounts. I just wasn't trying anymore. But I've really now in the last like year or two been really sticking to making my life private, because I'm professionally working in a field where it's actually like gotten in the way of work. And it's very sweet and very flattering when coworkers or whatever people who I work with know about it, find out about it. It's fine. It is what it is, but it's being brought up without my consent in ways that are inappropriate and not on my terms. And so it's not that I'm trying to be a poor sport, but I've had to really stick to learning how to set boundaries is what I should say, and making it clear of this is not relevant. I'm not talking about this anymore. This has been 8 years, you know, please stop talking about it. And making it clear from the jump, because I think for a long time, because it's been years that I've really been out of it, like the spotlight, so to speak, whatever you want to call it. But I've been really trying to be more assertive and more proactive about it, and just saying like, hey, this is not something I'm talking about at work or with people I don't know that well. And it's getting better. So I think I'm learning, because I was being a people pleaser for a long time and just kind of like, yeah, ha, ha, ha. And people just weren't catching on that it wasn't making me comfortable. So.
Girl, I can relate to that so hard.
Really?
You know how many situations? Yeah, absolutely.
Bring it up.
It's
because you're famous. You're like really famous.
Oh my God, I am not.
Yeah, you are, because my fiance and I was like, oh my God. I was like,
I'm absolutely, you're so cute. You're so cute. I'm really not.
Yeah, you are.
No, girl. I'm literally a nobody, honestly.
You need to take a compliment. You have to take it too, because you're fake. Like I knew your videos and I saw that people were tagging me. I was like, is this at that level?
You are too, stop. You're too, I by the way, I'm terrible at taking compliments, but thank you. But I truly don't feel like that. Girl, you were on TV. What are you talking about? You were on TV.
Yeah, 8 years ago.
So what? Don't downplay this. You are one, like I said in the beginning. No, you are one of the biggest fan favorites I've seen. I'm telling you, every time I was Googling something, Lenox, she's amazing. She should have won. By the way, what do you think of people By the way, the people are so sweet about them wanting you to win so bad. Like,
It
what
is
do you have to
sweet.
say to those people who are like, you should have won? Like, what do you want to say to those people out there?
I'm really flattered. I want to say that. I'm very flattered. That's a very sweet thing, especially because it has been so long for people to still be like, you were wrong. That's really sweet. I'm not bitter at all. I think it's a little bit staged. We knew on the show, like, there's no way they're gonna let one of us win. But also, I'm really happy for Keith for winning, everything. But yeah, it's very flattering and very sweet. It means a lot to me because I watched the show growing up. I get it. I completely get it. And if I met one of my favorites, like, I would have done the same thing and I would like, you should have won, all that. So it's very sweet to think that somebody sees me like that, because it's so weird because I watched the show growing up. So
When you were watching the show growing up, did you have a perception of, like, did you have any idea that it was going to be your experience, what your experience was?
I will give myself some credit. I think me and Will and I were the ones who, I remember from the jump during casting week, we had both realized we both watched the show. Well, him and Ray Leah also, but me and Will especially, we were like, we know this show, like, we've watched this show. And so we knew from the jump, like, there's a lot of stuff they're going to be setting us up for. We were really careful about how we did things. He was very strategic. He still does reality TV stuff because he's great at it. He's just got a great personality for it. But yeah, so I forgot the question. What was the question? I zoned out.
Girl.
I was thinking about Will because I just saw him the other day and I was like, oh yeah, his wedding. Sorry.
Yeah, I saw those photos that you posted. Very cute that you guys all keep in touch, by the way.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Sorry, I distracted. What was the question?
No, don't even worry about it. I was just asking when you watched the show before, did you have that same, like, was your perception different than, like, were you thinking, okay, this is gonna, like, really help my career, or like be a certain way, or be fun, or like, what were you kind of expecting going into the show?
I was expecting the not shady, but like the strategic stuff. Like, that's what I was expecting, and that's what happened, more so than I expected, in terms of, like, I thought I was going to get around it, but I did not think it was going to help my career. I had already been kind of in the modeling field at that point and had some interest from, like, higher up agencies at that point, like right before the show, that I didn't end up doing anything with. I chose the show, but I knew from talking to them about it, they were like, don't do it. It's really bad for your career. Like, it doesn't look good to be on the show. And I got pretty much told, like, you're either going to do this or that. And
Wait, the agencies told you that?
Yeah, when I got the call for the semifinals that I was going to go, I was in New York. I was with my mom in New York doing casting calls with agencies for New York. And and I'm not trying to sound like I'm like bragging, but I actually had like a pretty good offers coming in, and an opportunity that I won't like get all the details.
Yeah,
but, like,
you don't have to.
Like, it was good agencies, and there was one in Paris that was also interested in me. So, like, my point is like, there was some big stuff going on, and I was freaking out because I just wasn't really that into modeling, and I didn't think it was going to go that well when I went to the castings. And so when the show called me, I kind of thought, like, well, I'll just do that and flake out on this, and then I'll go on the show, because they had told me you kind of have to pick one or the other. And so I was like, well, I don't really care that much about modeling. So I was like, I'll just go on the show. And then I thought, well, I won't get on it. They won't pick me. And then I'll be like, darn. And then I'll go back home and I'll do Atlanta modeling.
There you go. You have your backup.
Yeah. I was like, I'll just do that on the side every once in a while. And like, nobody can say I didn't try. And it blew up in my face. But yeah, so I didn't think it was going to help my career. I knew going in that it probably wouldn't, but I didn't really care that much because I knew that wasn't going to be what I wanted to do forever. But I guess like the thing that surprised me the most was really just the level of stress and the lack of privacy you get. I did not expect it. Like, you were always mic'd, always recorded. There were no doors. We had one curtain for the bathroom. That was it. No privacy at all. Like, we all showered around each other, which is fine. But like, the point is like, you, as somebody who's very introverted, it's exhausting when you're trying to just like have a cry session after you got lit up by a bunch of people, and then you can't even cry about it with somebody recording it. Like, it's very hard. And you can't talk to your family. Like, they would send you, sorry, that car is really loud. They would send you letters, but then they would read it. There were times I would get letters and there would be pieces cut out of things they didn't want you to know about. It was bonkers. And then you get a phone call and it'd be like 2 minutes.
What is this, prison? Like, they get more time in prison.
it was literally like that. And you'd be like, hi, I love you. Like, I'm alive. And like, that was it.
And it's like, you have 1 minute remaining. I'm like, what? Are you guys in jail or
And
something?
they
You
made
don't
it clear,
get
they were like, somebody's listening when you're talking. And if you say
who's
anything
on the
or say
other. I'm not going to say who's on. I'm going to be like, they're like over here, like, yeah. Okay. Let's use that. Bring it up on the next episode. Bring it up during panel.
yeah,
Her cat has diabetes. Bring it up. Bring it up.
well, they were going to do that with my dad stuff. That's why I was like, well, I'll just catch them before they can catch me. And I'll tell them and be
Yeah.
really chill about it. Because I didn't want my mom or somebody to be like, how you feeling about your dad or something. And they'd be like, got her. So
even like, I mean, you don't have to wear a mic when you were sleeping though, right? Then you get
no, but I have a really funny story about that. We didn't wear mics. This is actually a really funny story. So we didn't have mics on us when we were sleeping, and we thought we were all super slick because the rule was like, you can go to bed and you're going to get demiked or unmiked or whatever they call it, but you would go to bed and then it was like, you're not supposed to talk. You're not supposed to talk because we can't catch things that are going on. So you can't talk if you're not mic'd and you're not on camera. And so we thought we were super slick because we were like, okay. So we would go to sleep and then we would like lay in the bed really still. And I mean, there's cameras in the corner, but we thought that was it. Yeah. And so we would lay really still in the bed and talk. And we thought we were super slick because we would just talk shit and all these things. I'm cursing so much, talking crap. And so we found out on set one day, Denzel found out on set one day that they had mics on the bed boards, like on the back of the headboard.
No.
And he found out because we were on set and all of a sudden I heard Denzel and he's like, no way. And we're like, what is going on? And we went over there and he's like, oh my God, they got mics on the headboards. And it had been, he was talking to the mic guy on set one day and he had made a joke about like, well, you don't have, it's not like you can hear anything we say in bed. And they're like, we literally have mics on the headboards. And he's like, liar, like prove it. And so he said something, I don't know what it was, but he said something to Denzel that he for sure said in bed with Mariana when they were like fooling around. It was like something where like you had to have been there to have heard. And he was like, oh my God. And the moment we got home from that shoot, we went and checked and dude, there was literally mics like on the side. We were like, oh my God.
That is so invasive. No. And there's cameras in the bedrooms too.
Oh yeah. There was like cameras.
Like even when you're sleeping, like when you wake up, there'll be a camera just what?
Oh yeah. Everyone who had sex, it was on camera. Totally on camera. Like
yeah, I don't know. Like and this is supposed to be a modeling competition. Okay. Like, come on.
They saw all of us naked, like for sure. They saw, and when you would go to the bathroom, you'd be like, I have to go to the bathroom. And they would like turn it down to be respectful. So
oh, I literally, there's no girl when I'm like FaceTiming with my friends and I gotta use the bathroom. I'm like, hey, let me call you back real quick. There's no way even that's FaceTime too. That's like a FaceTime audio.
It's stressful. Even like, yeah. So it was, and it just, you don't realize how much you can't decompress and have like alone, because you're always
alone
around
time.
Yeah, you don't have, they don't want you to know about the news because they don't want you to be fixated on that. They wouldn't let us have phones, obviously, or laptops. We had like old alarm clocks for time, but like I didn't know what day it was. You just lose. It makes you feel like, this is gonna sound dramatic. I'm not saying literally, but it reminded me a lot of like the Stanford prison experiment, if you remember that. Do you know about
yes, that? I did a project on that.
Okay, it kind of, I remember learning about that when I got my psych degree, and I remember being like, I kind of get it to a degree. There were certain things they spoke about, like you just kind of get in this bubble, and then when they pulled them all out, they were like, oh my God, like you just kind of lose your mind a little bit.
This is what I'm saying, like don't blame yourself for like how you handle things or your reaction to things on the show, because it's so much bigger than like I'm talking about cameras in the room, microphones, no alone time. I truly can't imagine that pressure on, and you guys were super young. So
yeah,
I really hope like till this day, like you don't blame yourself or you don't feel bad about anything that you did on the show. I think you did amazing. You're a great model. And I hope that you, even as a hobby, it could be fun as a hobby to continue modeling. What do you say to all your fans who are wondering if you'll get back into modeling, or if you're going to get back into modeling?
I really don't think I will. I just don't want to, my job and stuff, I just can't. I mean, I do stuff randomly. I have a lot of friends who are photographers, but I don't let myself be tagged in it. I don't announce it anywhere. Like I've used a different name. I'd make it things very low key. Like if I even do stuff, because I just don't, it's just not my thing. And I hate to say that because I'm so flattered by a lot of the comments. It's so flattering. And it was a fun thing and it was a fun experience. And I got a lot out of it, helping a lot with my anxiety and a lot of self-confidence and just kind of I can do it kind of stuff. But it's just not my thing. I just don't want to model.
Girl, I respect that. You don't have to do anything if you're not into. I love that. I love that you're saying I'm not really into it. Like seriously, like do whatever you. No, I mean, I'm sure a lot of your fans are disappointed, but only because they think you're such a great model and they want to see more of you. But of course, like I respect whatever you guys choose to do, whether that's modeling, whether that's something else. A lot of models have other aspirations. Some of my friends do modeling on the side, some do it full time. Like, it's not everyone's life. So I respect that. I mean, photography is not my life, even though like low key sometimes it is, but I love to play a video game. It does feel like it sometimes. Yeah.
Like just video games on the side, you're like a professional video gamer.
Well, I'm pretty good at Mario Kart. Pretty much that's it. Like I'm not very good at like first person shooter games. I get so much anxiety. I really Oh, really? Do you play video games too?
Some. I think the one I really play the most is Zelda, and that's like the typical like fake gamer girl.
Yes. Okay, let's do a high five. I'm giving you a high five right here.
Everyone always hates on me, and I'm like, it's a good game. So
dude, come on, it's iconic. Okay, which game from Legend of Zelda is your favorite?
My favorite is like I think everybody's favorite, the Ocarina of Time, but also Majora's Mask is really good.
No, that's so. That was a tough. It's a tough one. It's kind of creepy. You don't think the mask is kind of creepy though?
I just liked the world because you can do so much in there. I get so sucked into all like the little side quests, and I'm like, I gotta get back on track. Like I actually have to because you have a time limit. I'm like,
I don't like time limits. Oh my god.
Yeah, and then I like Breath of the Wild because that one's just insane. I don't know if you've played that one. That one's amazing.
I'm on the last. Well, I said, okay, I'm on the last what is it called? A guardian? Or the thing is in a video, I said temple and someone like roasted me. They're like, it's not temple. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is a guardian. You're right.
It's a guardian. I'm on the last one.
Which one?
Like an elephant? Was it an elephant?
Okay. Yeah, elephant.
Or like an ostrich or something? It's probably, I'm totally, roast me, you guys, roast me. Like shame on me for not roasting.
The elephants, I think that's
you should say how dare you not know what guardian is.
I'm just gonna have to give everybody zeros.
Give me a 0 right now for not knowing that, because that is
for calling it an ostrich is gonna be a 0.
I mean, it kind of, I think it was it a crane? I'm digging myself a deeper hole at this point.
Is there even a bird one? See, I'm even blasting myself because there's like a lizard, an elephant.
You guys leave it in the comments, like educate us.
The one that's in like the sand dunes. Somebody's gonna call me.
I did that one then.
Okay.
Wait. I'm gonna go. Was it a camel?
Maybe it was the water. Maybe the water one was the elephant.
I'm on the whatever it is. It's the last one.
It was the water one because I remember it because they like shoot the water. Yes.
Yeah, I did that one. I was gonna have my brother like. Not gonna lie, low-key, I almost had my brother like play it because I was like failing, but then I ended up beating it. So
they're hard.
They are. Oh my god, do we just suck? Are they hard or do we just suck? Like what's going on?
Because my 10-year-old nephew is like trying to one up me because he was like, well, I did it in 400 hours and I did all the side quests. And I was like, whoa.
I haven't listened the side quest thing. I'm not on the bandwagon. I'm just literally trying to do the bare minimum Lenox and I'm like, okay, I'm done. It's over. The credits roll. I'm like, this is over.
I'm like replaying the Breath of the Wild right now and I'm just doing all the side quests. So I'm out there just like scooping up mushrooms. I'm like do and like cooking the meals and stuff you can do. I'm all
yes, because I used to play Harvest Moon. So I'm like, I'm a pro at like cooking. And not in real life, but also like in video games. So, with my Harvest Moon experience, I applied it to Breath of the Wild. But I will complete it eventually. One day I will complete
I've
it.
never played the Harvest Moon one, but it sounds fun. It sounds like Animal Crossing.
Dude, I got married in that game on Harvest Moon. I had a good husband. Literally, we had a kid together. We literally had a child, Lennox. I have a child in a video game.
They died? Did you leave them? Did you abandon them?
I think he's probably like 10 years old at this point. I don't know. I left him. I mean, I didn't leave him. I just never opened the game back up again because they came out with the Switch. So that's on the Nintendo DS.
Oh, okay.
The 3DS.
I was playing I found my old Nintendo or my Nintendo DS, and I was playing Nintendogs, and I was like, this is so fun.
I need to play that.
My dogs were like pissed because it's been like 10 years. So they were like filthy, hungry, and they were growling at me. And I was like, I'm sorry.
Like, we got stuff. We got stuff to do.
I was growing up. I went on TV. I went to school. I was
being almost eliminated every but you know what?
I lit up. But you know what? I made fourth place.
Fourth place. Yeah. Honestly, I never made it. And this is just like, because I'm doing the reaction videos, I like haven't watched every episode. So there's probably a million questions people want to ask you. I think we covered all of the main questions I think people have wanted to hear from you answered. Is there anything that you kind of did I miss anything that you kind of want to talk about?
I don't think so. I guess the only thing is people always think I have this huge hatred for Chantel, and I don't. We didn't get along 8 years ago at all, and I stand by that. But I didn't hate the girl. I hope the best for her. I think it's awesome what she's doing for like visible differences and like that kind of like that sort of visibility. I think it's great. I think I don't want to say relationship, but like our interactions and history or whatever is a really good example of how things are just not black and white. You don't hate or love somebody. Like there's like gray area. Because a lot of people to this day, like they think I just hated her and wanted her to fail. And I don't want people to think I would ever think that of somebody. So that's probably the only thing. But besides that, I think we've hit everything.
Yeah, I mean, I tried. I got like all my questions. You answered all that plus more. We got the inside scoop on everything. You need to play with your dogs on Nintendogs.
Oh no, I've already forgotten about them. They're already like hungry.
It's like they need to be fed, but we also have cats. So
I know.
I'm trying to see if there's any. Wait, I'm sorry. I totally cut you off there.
Oh, you didn't. I was just.
You need to eliminate me right now. Like I'm like, who am I to eliminate me? Go ahead, do it, Lenox.
You're done. You got a 0. You got to go.
Can you give me like a speech? Can you do an elimination speech? You need to be like, what does she say? There are 2 beauties. But don't even say beauty. Just be like, there's someone really ugly in front of me.
2 girls in front of me, and I only have 1 photo in my hands. And I remember being there and like seeing that in real life was pretty cool because I was like, where am I? Because like when I was on the show, I mean, like I said, all my friends and I watched it. So it was really funny when those little gimmicks that are really the show's famous for, like the, only 1 photo in my hands.
Photo in my hands. I made a joke. I got so old, but I was like, you could just print out more, Tyra, like you could have more than 1 picture. Yeah.
And I will say another thing I want to say, because I really don't want this to come out like I'm slamming the show or Tyra or anybody. Like I think accountability is important. Like I get that part completely, but like, again, y'all, I'm fine. And I consented everything, but you're right, like there's a lot of pressure, but I feel like a lot of people think I'm coming out to say this, be like they're all monsters. I'm not saying that.
I didn't know, girl. No, you said many times, even like when we were chatting, like, hey, I did sign a contract and everything. I think like from my I'm just gonna say like from an outsider's perspective, I feel like personally, in my opinion, I think a lot of things were done to you guys that you guys didn't deserve. I thought there were some moments that didn't need to happen to you guys in a way, and that's just from an outsider's perspective. So I didn't get that vibe from you.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I'm glad people are coming out and speaking on it, because like I said, I think reality TV only makes what people want. So I think we also have to remember, like, as needs to be a big fat mirror in front of society. Remember, like, ultimately they want what gets views. And if what's getting views is things like this, then we need to really think back. And I'm glad there's this movement going on where people are saying, like, holy crap, there's like some really intense stuff that people went through, that they're sharing stories about, like mine and other, and saying that so people can look at reality TV like how we see it now as people who experienced it. And so, because they're up in the ante, and there's things they do that are just way out there and too far and messing with things that are not things to mess with. I think it's a really good chance for people to understand what really goes on. So that's my little soapbox.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Where can people find you, by the way? Just on TikTok?
Just on TikTok. Everything else I'm pretty boring. I have everything private, but TikTok, we'll see how long I keep it up so everybody can look there.
Girl, listen, we respect the privacy. Like I love that if you don't want to have an Instagram, you don't need to have an Instagram. Like do your thing, live your best life.
I'm done with the Instagram. That was a fun time. It was cool to have Ariana Grande follow me for a little bit, and I'm done. I can say I did that, check, and I'm done.
I think what you are doing currently is amazing, and what you will continue to do is going to be amazing. So whatever you're happy with, I support, and I'm sure your fans will support too.
Thank you. It's weird to think I have fans, but that means a lot. Thank you.
I'm your fan.
Oh my God, I'm your fan.
I mean, even though my Animal Crossing island is like still 3 stars, but that's a whole other story. But
dude, you know, oh my God, can we go to each other's Animal Crossing islands?
You have an island?
I'm really proud of mine. I would
love to see your. Okay, you have to give me your friend code. You can't get mad
because there's like certain areas I'm working on, but the parts I finished, they're bomb.
Oh my God, did you do the new update?
Yes, and it was a really cool one.
Dude, it was way too overwhelming though. You don't think so?
I was gonna say, to be fair, I probably haven't explored enough of it because like I've been so busy with work. But the little bit that I've seen, I've enjoyed it. And I just love Animal Crossing because I just get really sucked into like building stuff and all that. But I have 3 stars and I'm like ready for it to be a 4-star or 5-star or whatever it is, because I deserve it.
I want to get that coffee shop. I'm trying to get Isabel out.
Coffee shop? Yes, I didn't know you could get that.
In the museum.
I didn't even know you could get a coffee shop. See,
yeah, that was in the new update had like 1 billion and like you get a new fencing. I'm like, my island looks like a wasteland right now. So it's like I'm struggling. I'm so struggling at this point. I'm terrible at decorating.
Like, I'll forget it for like a month and then I'll come on, there's like weeds everywhere and I'm like, God. I'm like, I just forget about it.
You get yelled at by the villagers. They're like, where have you been?
They're like, this is mess. I know. And they're like, I haven't seen you in a month. But I'm like, I know. I got it.
They accuse you of being mad. They're like, you're upset with me. I can tell. You were gone for 5 months.
And I was like,
no, I just have a job. Bob the cat. What did you say, Wilbert?
My favorite one's name is Filbert. He's like this little blue squirrel. I would die for Filbert. He like wears little like hats on. I'm obsessed with Filbert. He tries to leave my island like every week and I'm like, you gotta stay. I'm sorry.
Damn, he's not trying to be there. He's like, 3 stars can't be seen here.
He's like, I think I'm gonna go. And I'm like, you gotta stay.
And you're staying forever. Wait, I have a squirrel named Marshall. Wait,
do I have? No, I didn't have Marshall. Never mind. What does he look like?
He's a white squirrel with like, he's cute. He's a cutie and he's like kind of sassy, which I love. Like, I like the attitude.
Yeah. I have one named Freckles and she's like this cute little pink duck, and her and Filbert, I have them living together because they're my favorites.
So, they can live together? Oh, next to each other?
Well, next to each other. I got them like their own little area, and their area is like pristine and perfect.
I gotta see it. Okay. I gotta see. Like, are we doing like an Animal Crossing tour? Like, is it that good?
Oh my God. Well, I don't know about a tour, but you won't look at the sides that I haven't done yet, but you can look at Filbert and Freckles' yard because it's really good.
Okay. And also you have to promise if you ever get Raymond that you can like kick him out and let me take him in, because I've been looking for him. Raymond, he's a cat. He has 2 colored eyes, 2 different. Raymond.
Okay, I'll look for him. If you see Olive, I want Olive. Send him my
Olive. Way. That sounds so familiar. Wait, what is that? A squirrel?
She's a cute little like gray bear, and she came to my campsite, and I tried to get her, but she was like, you know, when they come and you like already have enough villagers, and they're like, okay, well, they have to leave.
Yeah. Why don't you just kick a villager out?
Well, because it was Filbert. She was like, oh, well, I think Filbert wants to leave. And I was like, no, Filbert can't go.
Filbert, you should have let him go. He wanted to leave. He's not, he's fake. He's fake. He's been trying to leave.
He's like, please let me off this island. I'm like,
Filbert's like, I want to leave. And Lenox is like, no.
I put a gun to his head. I'm like, you're gonna stay on this island.
You're staying here until we get 5 stars.
I give him like little sweaters and stuff. I love that guy.
Oh man. Okay. We're gonna end this with a promise that I'm gonna come to your island, or you're gonna come to my island.
Deal. Pinky promise.
Okay. And I want a mushroom light too, also along with Raymond.
Mushroom lights. Yeah.
A mushroom light.
I feel like a loser because I don't even know what the stuff is. I'm probably way too proud about my island. It's probably not that good.
I'm so excited to see. Okay, after this, we're exchanging friend codes.
Okay, deal.
Okay, and with that, we do want to thank Lenox for joining us on this super fun conversation, catching up with her. And Lenox said that we can find her on TikTok. And what's your TikTok?
I think it's Lenox Blue. I'm pretty sure it's Lenox Blue, like Lenox and then BLU. I'm like 99% sure. I've changed it like 20 times. Sorry, y'all.
It's okay. I'm going to have it linked down below if you guys want to say hello to Lenox. And thank you so much for joining me. You're amazing, and you did so good on the show, and your modeling was great. And I wish you the absolute best for whatever you want to do, whatever your endeavors are. You're going to do great.
Thank you. I hope the best for you too. It's been really nice meeting you because you're really cool. I like all your photography and all your videos. You're awesome. So it's been really cool getting to hang out with you, or like hang out, but you know.
And then hanging out on the island too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, you have to see my island.
You got to roast my island though. You can't leave without being like, okay, I'm calling the police on this, like emergency services.
You got to go. You
can take Marshall. Just take Marshall at this point. Have an all squirrel island.
Yeah, all the squirrels are really cute. I have like 20 ducks on my island. I keep collecting all the ducks.
You want ducks? Okay, I got you.
Okay. All right.
I'll get you a duck. You can have Pashmina. I'm trying to get rid of her low-key, like no hair.
I love Pashmina. You
take her. You want her? Do you want her?
I already love Pashmina.
Oh.
She's like
I was like, damn it.
No, wait, I like her. I'm sorry.
I was like, I'm not trying to get rid of her or anything. I'm like, oh, it's fine. She's great.
I love Pashmina.
We love Pashmina, you guys. Okay. But anyways, we would love to thank you guys for listening or watching if you're watching this on YouTube. Thank you, Lenox, and we'll see you guys on the next episode of Low Res with Jess.
Bye. See you later.